We have Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals taking on Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks. This is your Week 4, 2025 prediction and preview video. Let's get straight into it with the home team, the Arizona Cardinals. They are 2-1 entering this matchup over Seattle, but they are coming off a tough loss last week over a division rival with the 49ers. They lost this game, walk-off field goal, 16-15. Kyler Murray was solid on the day, but he left a lot of throws on the table. 22 of 35, 159 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. In 3 games this season with the Arizona Cardinals, they go up and they let the team eke back into the game. In Week 1 against the New Orleans Saints, they took care of business, but late in the fourth quarter, the Saints, they're making a comeback. Against the Carolina Panthers, you had this game all the way through the first and the third quarter. Late in the fourth quarter, here come the Carolina Panthers. They're marching back, but you did win that matchup. And last week over the 49ers, the play calling was too conservative with Coach Drew, the offensive coordinator. This has been the case with the Arizona Cardinals since he has been the offensive coordinator. He needs to be more aggressive in this matchup. And I'm not saying go out there and run shotgun for the majority of the time and take deep shots down the field to Marvin Harrison Jr. and the same to your tight end, Trey McBride. But in certain moments, keep the Seahawks honest. And the same should have happened last week against the 49ers. Don't just go out there and throw the same crossing routes and throw the same routes behind the line of scrimmage. Be more creative and go out there and be more aggressive. And if the offensive line is an issue in this matchup, because last week, in my opinion, they played very well. They gave Kyler Murray a lot of time. Paris Johnson Jr. was dealing with an injury. He's questionable in this matchup. That's their best offensive lineman. But when Nick Bosa went down last week, it was night and day with the pass rush of the 49ers. But if the offensive line is an issue against this tough front of the Seahawks, get Kyler Murray outside the pocket. Slide the offensive line to the right. This is why Kyler Murray was the first overall pick in 2019, because of his ability to make plays outside the pocket, and he's so dynamic on the run. And run more read option with Kyler Murray in this matchup against the Seahawks. We've seen Kyler Murray in the past have big-time moments. For the first half of last season, in those 8 games, he had numbers like a top 5 quarterback. But then as the season went on and when the pressure built up on him, he wasn't the same quarterback. And the play calling has to be better. But in this matchup against Seattle, you're going to have your work cut out for you, especially with James Conner being out for the rest of the season. He suffered a tough leg injury last week over the 49ers. And I hope nothing but the best for him, and the same with Nick Bosa. But the biggest question that I have for the Cardinals in this matchup against the Seahawks, how will this offensive line look if Paris Johnson Jr. is not able to play? You have Isaiah Adams at the right guard position, Jonah Williams at the right tackle position, Paris Johnson Jr., if he's fully healthy. If he's not able to go, you slide in Kelvin Beachum. He did a very good job last week. But beware of that, because we've seen the Seahawks in the past, just last season, put a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray. And it really came from the interior. Now look at someone like Leonard Williams. He was one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL last season. You have to keep him away from Kyler Murray if he's able to play in this matchup, and the same with Byron Murphy II. And they have DeMarcus Lawrence on the outside. So now they have a defensive front that can go out there, stop the run, and get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. This is where you can use motion in this matchup to keep the Seattle Seahawks honest and keep them off balance. Far as the run game here, get Kyler Murray going in the open field with his legs. Trey Benson is a solid running back. He had 10 carries last week for 42 rushing yards, and the longest rush of the day went for 29 yards. You may have to go out there and wear down the Seahawks defense. This is where having that absence of James Conner can hurt you in this matchup. But you have Amari, and Amari has had some big-time moments in the past with the Cardinals. Just last year against the Chicago Bears, he had a 50-yard rushing touchdown. Get him involved. But the run game, just use that to sell play action in this matchup against the Seahawks and keep Kyler Murray under center. You have to keep him protected here. The wide receivers, they have to step up. Now, this is year 2 for Marvin Harrison Jr. Last season wasn't a terrible season. He had a solid season for a rookie. But this was a man that many people were saying that he could be the next great wide receiver in the NFL. So far, he's had a lot of bad moments this season. He had so many drops last week against the 49ers, and even the same against the Carolina Panthers. They need him to perform better in this matchup over the Seahawks. And it is a tough secondary, but he's one of the most talented young wide receivers in the game. Get him going underneath to just get him into a rhythm. He only had 3 catches for 44 receiving yards last week. And the one thing that you don't want to happen is for him to have his confidence to drop. You want him to go out there and to just flow through the game, and you want to keep him involved in the matchup all the way through. I'm not saying go out there every single drive and give him 3 to 4 targets, but keep Marvin Harrison Jr. in the matchup. Trey McBride, right now, he's the most consistent target that you have on the offensive end. He's been a top receiving tight end in the NFL over the last 2 years. He had 43 receiving yards last week, 1 receiving touchdown. This should be the go-to target on 3rd down, and especially if it's in the goal line situation, because he's such a big target coming across the middle of the field. And for Kyler Murray, he doesn't have to be pinpoint accurate when he has to give him the football because he's such a big target. If he's in one-on-one situations with a linebacker or a safety, throw it up there for Trey McBride. And we've seen Kyler Murray do this before in the past. And the same to Marvin Harrison Jr. He did that last year to the New York Jets. Sometimes just give your wide receiver or your tight end a chance. And Zay Jones was able to get open last week, but he had a crucial drop late in the 4th quarter. He makes that catch. They're undefeated going into this matchup, but that was not the case. So everyone on the offensive end, they have to play better. And it starts with Drew, the offensive coordinator, with being more aggressive on the offensive end and this offensive line doing a better job of protecting Kyler Murray. But the talent is there. They just need their playmakers to step up and continue to make big-time plays against a tough Seattle Seahawks defense. I'm going to tell you right now, you have to wear this defense down with Coach McDonald. He's one of the best minds in the NFL on their side, similar to Jonathan Gannon and his defense. But they're so versatile. And Kyler Murray is a veteran now. Do not get confused by the different type of looks that they have on the back end. He gave Aaron Rodgers so many different looks in that Steelers matchup. He threw a bad interception in the second half. You can't have that in this matchup against Seattle. Now, as far as the defense here with the Arizona Cardinals, they have looked very good. Against New Orleans Saints, granted one of the worst teams in the NFL currently. Against the Carolina Panthers, granted one of the worst teams in the NFL currently. But last week against the 49ers, they had some big splash plays over and over again. You held the 49ers to 16 points. And now you have a pass rush that can consistently get to the quarterback over and over again. You want to force Sam Darnold to hold on to the football and to have tight coverage on the back end of this defense so Josh Sweat can get to the quarterback. It's the reason why you brought him in from free agency from the Philadelphia Eagles, because of the connection that him and Jonathan Gannon has shared in the past with the Eagles. Jonathan Gannon, former defensive coordinator for the Eagles when they first had that matchup against Kansas City a number of years ago. Calais Campbell has been a huge playmaker, has been phenomenal. Week 1 against the Saints, had a beautiful play late in the 4th quarter against Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. He's a game wrecker. This man is 39 years old, and he's still moving around like he's 24, 25 years old. As long as he can go out there and eat up double teams and put that pressure on Sam Darnold, you should be fine. And you have Darius Robinson, who is a young player on the outside as well, who I believe can give you some good plays. And one thing to note with the Arizona Cardinals, Walter Nolan is still out. We'll see if he'll be able to play anytime soon. But imagine in the future when you have Walter Nolan and the same Calais Campbell and Josh Sweat, that could be a very good interior rush in general. And a different type of twists and stunts that they can move up front with those players. But you have to put that heat on Sam Darnold and watch out for the run game with Kenneth Walker III. Now, Zach Charbonnet, he's the big bruiser back. He's going to go out there. He's going to beat you up and wear you down. This is where those depth pieces come in. You have to meet Kenneth Walker III at the point of attack. He had 2 rushing touchdowns last week against the New Orleans Saints. Look at the game that he had against the Steelers. But in week 1, the 49ers, they did a very good job of stopping the run with the Seahawks here. Replicate that game plan and be physical up front. Don't play that off coverage. And it's a tale of 2 different teams. Offensively, they're so conservative, but defensively, they'll go out there and they'll be aggressive and they'll beat you up. That's what you have to do in this matchup. Will Johnson, he's questionable for this game. Hopefully he can play. Will Johnson had a phenomenal game in week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. He was covering any and everything on the field, and he was a great tackler. But this is why he slid in the NFL draft in the 2nd round, is because of injury concerns. If he's able to play in this matchup, put him on a player like Jackson Smith-Njigba in space, or even Cooper Kupp. But if he's not able to play, you still have talent on the back end of this defense, and it starts with Budda Baker. But hopefully, Will Johnson will be able to play in this matchup. And be on lookout for Xavier Collins, who has had some good moments in the past, but he hasn't lived up to that first-round hype just yet. But overall, my key notes here for the Cardinals in this matchup: beware of the different fronts that the Seattle Seahawks can run. You have to protect Kyler Murray from the inside out and get Kyler Murray on the run. Take care of the football and be more aggressive on the offensive end. And those offensive playmakers outside of Trey McBride, who has been awesome, they all need to step up. Trey Benson, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Kyler Murray. But this should be a very good matchup with the Arizona Cardinals entering this game, because once again, you only lost to the 49ers by 1 point. Just be more aggressive on the offensive end and take those shots down the field if they are there. Let's take a break from today's action and let's talk about today's sponsor, DraftKings. You can win big on and off the field with your favorite players and with your favorite team. With the NFL season being placed into full effect, Mondays, Sundays, and Thursdays just got a bit more interesting. For new customers, you use $5, you get $200 back in bonus bets if you use code ALLPRO. That's ALLPRO in all caps. And it's more than just the NFL that you can bet on. We have the NBA regular season kicking off very soon. The MLB playoffs are right around the corner, and the same with the WNBA playoffs. You bet the over, you bet the under. And if sports betting is not legalized in your state just yet, that's fine. You can also go out there and you can play DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports, and you can still have a shot to win cash prizes of all sorts. And once again, I want to shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the action. Now let's talk about Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks. They're coming off an amazing win last week. They defeated the New Orleans Saints 44-13. And I mean this in the most respectful way. The Seahawks, they look like one of the best teams in the NFL. And the New Orleans Saints look like a college team. That is how impressive they were all the way through. This game was over with when the second quarter hit. Their special teams was phenomenal. Their offense was amazing as well, and the same with their defense. But let's start off with Sam Darnold. He was 14 of 18 last week. 218 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He ran the system very well. And this is something that we're starting to see with Sam Darnold. He's starting to warm up to this system with Clint Kubiak. You know, in week 1, when they went against the 49ers, they ran to a situation to where they wanted to run a bunch of shotgun over and over again and just air you out with those pieces on the outside. And they kept going to Jackson Smith-Njigba over and over again. And they lost this matchup 17-13. It was still a close game for the Seahawks, but the offense let them down. Against the Steelers, they went out there, they ran the football, and Sam Darnold was able to take advantage of those opportunities. He did have 2 interceptions, but he had 2 passing touchdowns as well. And this matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, get that run game going with Kenneth Walker III. And I know so far he's been inconsistent. He had the one amazing game against the Steelers. They're having problems stopping the run right now. But we've seen Kenneth Walker III in the past go out there and be that big home run hitter. He catches the edge. He could take that game for 40 to 50 yards down the field, while Zach Charbonnet can wear you down. We know that Sam Darnold can make crazy throws. We saw this last year with the Minnesota Vikings. We saw this in week 1 against the 49ers and even against the New Orleans Saints last week. But you need playmakers outside of Jackson Smith-Njigba to go out there and to step up for you. In 3 games this season, Jackson Smith-Njigba has easily been the best wide receiver on this roster. Jackson Smith-Njigba has 323 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 90 receiving yards against the Steelers. They need more out of him. And I'm not saying that Cooper Kupp has to go out there and be prime Cooper Kupp, like how he was when he was a Triple Crown winner. But he needs to go out there and be better in terms of running routes down the field and being that big target moving down the middle of the field to take that pressure off of Sam Darnold. And this offensive line, in every single game, they've gotten better. Week 1 against the 49ers, they had a lot of problems there. Week 2 against the Steelers, that's Alex Highsmith, that's TJ Watt. They did a phenomenal job against one of the best pass rushers in the league. That's an A+. And last week against New Orleans Saints, they have some talent in that defense. They kept Sam Darnold upright. And I look at this offensive line. You have Charles Cross. You have a healthy Abraham Lucas. As long as Abraham Lucas is fully healthy, he's a very good tackle. That has been a bad thing for him over the last 2 years. Hasn't been able to stay healthy. But now, with him being fully healthy on this field, the pass protection has been very good. And be on lookout for Gray Zabel in the middle of this offensive line. This is who you selected in the first round this year to go out there and get an extra push to help out the run game in the interior. But you have to work off that play action. Put Sam Darnold under center and do what the Minnesota Vikings did last year with Sam Darnold. We know that he's talented. And Torrey Horton has been phenomenal as a rookie so far. Had a phenomenal preseason. Had a very good rookie training camp. Looked very good in training camp. He looked so good that they moved off of Marquez Valdez-Scantling, a veteran wide receiver who gave Clint Kubiak, a lot of good production in the back half of last season with the New Orleans Saints. This man was phenomenal on special teams last week, and he was able to go out there and give you a receiving touchdown. Torrey Horton is a very good football player. Get him going. But they need Cooper Kupp to be that veteran, especially in crucial situations late in the game. And if it's a key third down, go to Cooper Kupp because he still has some of the best hands in football. And A.J. Barner has been able to go out there and have some splash plays at the tight end position against the Steelers. Look very good in that matchup. And the one thing with the Arizona Cardinals, they can be too aggressive on the offensive end. So if you run some double routes out there, if it's press man coverage, you could possibly get a penalty. That can help you out, especially if it's third and long. Or even if it's first down, they just move you up. But keep this offense on schedule with Clint Kubiak, and he also needs to shy away from those screens. There's a lot of times against the Steelers and the same against the 49ers. Not as much last week against the New Orleans Saints, but it's because your defense, your special teams are able to go out there and feast on the Saints. He's just going out there with those screen passes over and over again. You can run the screen game, but be careful with that. Because defenders with the Arizona Cardinals, they're veterans, and you're going against Jonathan Gannon, who is a top defensive mind. He can give you a lot of problems at the line of scrimmage. But I have a lot of confidence in Seattle and their playmakers. In terms of Jackson Smith and Jigba, and the same with Torrey Horton, can Cooper Kupp just go out there and step up? And can those running backs get those consistent yards on the ground to help out Sam Darnold? Now, when you look at the defense here, the defense has been phenomenal so far with Seattle. You made Aaron Rodgers' life tough in week 2. Against Brock Purdy and the 49ers, you kept them at bay, and the same with Christian McCaffrey. They did a solid job. The offense just needed to step up. And last week, you hung up 44 points. But when you go against Kyler Murray, and this is what happened last year in those 2 games, Leonard Williams was able to go out there and be that game record. Can he show up in this game? And he was a limited participant in practice on Monday. So if he's on pace to play in this matchup, that's phenomenal because you will have him and you'll have a healthy Byron Murphy II. Let's not forget, Byron Murphy missed a lot of time last year as a rookie with a hamstring injury. He can push the pocket. He can stop the run. Both of these players are similar. Just right now, Leonard Williams is a better player. But if you can put that interior pressure on Kyler Murray, you run those different twists and those different stunts, and you have contained coverage on the outside, you can make this offense life a living hell. And this is why you bring in DeMarcus Lawrence. He's not this top-tier pass rusher, but he's solid. He is known for that contained coverage on the edge and stealing the edge and stopping the run. And then if you're on third down, and if it's long, let's just say it's 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 15, you can pin your ears back with Derek Hall, who is also a very good pass rusher coming off the bench as a rotational piece and had a very good season last season with the Seahawks. And the one thing that I love about this defense in their front seven, they're versatile as hell. They'll take away those quick passes. They'll jump back in those passing lanes. And for an undersized quarterback like Kyler Murray, that can give them problems. And I'm not saying that Kyler Murray can't stay over the line of scrimmage. He can. But we've seen what this defense has done to him before. You go up there with your arms up, you jump back in those quick passing lanes, those passes can go for interceptions. Leonard Williams had that interception last year against the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers. So if you take away that first read with Kyler Murray, hopefully that pass rush can come in and help you out. Just pay attention to how Coach McDonald was lining up different fronts in front of Kyler Murray with the front seven. And another impactful player to bring up is Ernest Jones, who has been a very good linebacker with Seattle since they made that trade last year to bring him in. Now you have Tariq Woolen. He needs to play a little bit better. And week 1 had a lot of bad moments, but he's still a top cornerback on this roster. Devin Witherspoon has missed the last 2 games. We all know that Spoon is a phenomenal player on this roster inside the nickel cornerback position. You can blitz him off the edge. He was a player last year. They blitzed him off the edge. Kyler Murray has the athleticism. He throws a football. Here comes Kobe Bryant. There goes a pick 6. So if he's able to play in this matchup, blitz him off the edge and give them different looks in that secondary. Hopefully he can play. If not, you should still be okay because you have Josh Jobe, you have Kobe Bryant, and Julian Love. He's questionable, but he's on pace to play in this matchup. But this is a very good game, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a tough physical matchup. It's going to come down to defenses here because you have 2 defensive head coaches and Coach McDonald with Seattle and Jonathan Gannon with the Arizona Cardinals. But right now, with how things are going, I trust Seattle and their coaching staff a little bit more than I trust the Arizona Cardinals. This is going to be a close game, but I have Seattle winning this matchup 20-17, but it can go either way. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have taking this matchup? Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks or Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, when each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. God bless.